Okay, so I think let's start the today's problem solving session. Let me share my screen. Okay, so I welcome you all for the today's problem solving session on the NPTEL course on sustainable architecture. And this is the week 7 of this problem solving session where I, Sudhir Kumar Gupta, will be taking your this week's problem solving session. And today we will be solving some of the sample problem questions based on the week 7 content. And after that, we will be solving some previous year assignment questions. Meanwhile, if you are having any sort of doubt, then you can ask me in between the questions or after the session. So let's begin our today's problem solving session. And with this, first I will be projecting first the week 7 lecture 1 content sample problem questions where you will be have you whoever knows the answer they will have to give their answers based on the content that they have studied for this particular week, and then we will be discussing with all of us the key concepts and the different versions of the problem that can be formed from this particular lecture series. So here is the first problem in front of you all. So all of you try to solve this, and meanwhile let me admit the participant. Okay, so now I think we are having 5 participants. So here is the first question in front of you all. The presence of natural light in an occupied space is helpful for increasing the cooling load or for reducing the well-being or for increasing the energy saving and comfort or for reducing the awareness of surroundings. What do you think is the most appropriate answer for this particular question? Question number 1. All of you read the questions carefully and then give your answers in the chat box. Whoever knows the answer and who is able to recall the lecture 1 of week 7. Let's see who can answer to this question, particular question, question number 1. So as I can see, I have received 2 answers till now, Ram and Shilin. And Shilin and Ram both are saying the correct answer to be option C. Yeah, both of you are absolutely correct. The correct answer for this particular question number 1 is option C, that is the presence of natural light in an occupied space. It is helping us for increasing the energy saving due to reducing the lighting load and also providing comfort like visual comfort to the occupants. So this will be helping you overall in the daylight improvement and occupant well-being. Also the but other options that was mentioned like uh, awareness of surrounding or reduces dependence on artificial lighting and thereby overall it will be contributing to the energy saving. So option C is the correct answer for this particular question. Let's move to the second question then. Here's the second question in front of you all. So second question is asking which type of or which window type allows the control of breeze by tilting its slats. So most of the time you might have seen in the houses some kind of tilt slats are given for reducing the solar heat gain. So in such kind of situations, we will be not in direct contact with the uh, direct solar radiation, but the diffused part can come, or also because of the unnecessary glare that it can cause. These tilting kinds of features are allowed in some of the window types. So which kind of windows they are primarily called as? So whoever knows the answer, they try to give your answers in the chat box. Then we can discuss the question. If somebody is having any kind of doubt, or if he or she is going in a wrong direction, giving the incorrect answer. Whether it is sash window or casement window or bay window or levered window, out of the four options, I think the question is very clear to all of you, and I'm able to get several answers also from the participants, and all the people they are saying the correct answer to be option C. Yeah, option C, levered window is the correct answer for this particular question. Let me discuss it with the people who don't know it very well. Like in a window, you must have seen that there are levers are present, slits you can say, which you can tilt. Either you can shut it down or open it as per the requirement, and control the with the help of this. Either you can control the breeze, or the also sometimes it can be used for controlling the solar radiation entering into the house or the game. But mainly it is done for the breathing, controlling the breathing. Main purpose is that. So it's just adjustable slats you can say, and direct airflow you can adjust with the help of that, and mainly it will be helping you to the control the ventilation effectively. So this is the correct answer for this particular question. I hope all of you will be able to now understand, whoever have not given the answers. So let me admit one more participant. Yeah, okay. So now we are having around seven participants, I think. Okay, so let's move to the third question then. If this question is clear to all of you, then let's move to the third question. Here is the third question for all of you. Try to answer to this question. The question number three. These clerestory windows are located where? Either they are located on the ground floor walls, or at the middle height of the walls, or on the high walls extending on the roof line, or on the basement walls. So in the lecture 3, so lecture 1 of week 7, it was well discussed, and different kinds of windows and their location discussion was made by ma'am. So based on that, if you're able to recall, then try to give answer to this particular question number 3, which is the most appropriate answer for this question. So you must have seen When the picture of house was given to you and different levels were also shown to you, then this was the position of your clear story. So with this picture also you can recall these clear story windows. They are placed on the ground floor. No, it is not the correct answer. Then in the middle height, this was not the correct answer. And on the high walls extending from the roof line. So whatever this is your roof line, you can say. And the extending lines here, these are the extending lines of this roof, and these windows are placed on the high walls, as you can see from the picture as well. So I hope this is clear. The question number 3. Let's see how many of you were able to answer to this question number 3 by themselves. What options you have opted? Okay, so as I can see, yeah, Celine was first to answer to this question, and followed by Ram, and then Priya. So with this, as I can see, all of you have given the correct answer. So let's move to the next question then. Question number 4. Here is the question number 4. These sawtooth roof are most effective when? So one more type of roof was discussed in the lecture. This sawtooth type of roof, this kind of roof you might have seen several times, where there we can keep the windows. Yeah, so these can be effective when you are away from the equator, or east-west axis, or your building is oriented towards the equator, or anywhere it is effective. So what do you think is the most appropriate location or the orientation for these kinds of roofs? So let's see who is able to answer to this question. Yeah, as I can see, most of you have answered it, and you are going for option B. So option B is the correct answer for this question. Question number 4. Whoever have marked option B, they are absolutely correct. The sawtooth roof have steep glazed surface. As you can see, these are the steep glazed surface, and that are facing away from the equator. So if you will be, it will be oriented away from the equator, then admitted, or they will be emitting the diffused daylight and avoiding the direct sunlight, which will be helping you for the avoiding the excessive solar heat gain inside the building. So option B is the correct answer for this question number 4. Is it clear to everyone? If it is okay, then we can move to the next question. Okay. So here is question number 5 for you all then. Which opening which opening type admits daylight 3 to 10 times more efficiently than windows? Yeah. So from the it is talking about another type of opening that emits daylight 3 to 10 times more than windows. So it's not a type of window, you can say. So out of the four options, you can easily strike out the windows. Then also you can get the answer for this particular question, question number 5. Let's see how many of you can answer to this question. Yeah, so all of you are absolutely correct. So it is just ask about which opening is having more efficient than windows. So in the four options that have been given to you, you can easily see that these three are the type of windows. So this cannot be the correct answer. This and this one is the correct answer. But again, from the concept point of view, also you know these sky lights. So whenever you will be having house, let's say whenever you will be having house like this, so if somebody may have windows here or somebody may have windows here, that can be casement window, levered window or bay window like that, but this skylight refers to the having openings here. If somebody, you might have seen sometimes in some houses, openings have been given in the roof. So these bring the top lighting into the central spaces. This will be helping you to distribute the light from the central spaces to all the house spaces more efficiently than the side windows. This side window won't be able to distribute the light to all the corners, you can say. Under overcast skies are there, if there are overcast skies, so it will be difficult to get more sunlight and lighten the room during the daytime. But if you are having some skylight openings, then it will be helpful for you in such kind of reasons. So whoever have marked option B, they are absolutely correct. So with this, let's move to the next question, question number 6. Here is question number 6 for you all, that light shelves are used to. So this light shelves feature also was explained, and the main purpose of these light shelves in the buildings have been discussed. So based on that, you try to give your answers for this question number 6. What should be the right objective or the uses of these light shelves? So for question number 6, you can see and mark your correct answers in the chat box. Whoever is able to answer, let's see who can answer it correctly. So as I can see, Ram was first to answer it this time also, and all of you have marked the same option. That is option. All of you are saying that option C is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 6. So it's good to see that all of you have marked the correct answer. This light shelf are mainly used to bounce the sunlight into the interior and improve daylight uniformity. Also, it reduces the glare while also acting as a shading devices. That's why option C, which is saying that these are helpful for reflecting the daylight deeper into the interiors. This is the correct answer. And rest of the options like storing lightweight materials or reducing the thermal conductivity or providing structural out support, these all are discarded. Only option C is the most appropriate answer for this particular question number 6. So let's move to the seventh question then. Here is the seventh question that have been displayed in front of you all. Try to give your answers for this question number 7. According to the ECBC, then according to ECBC code, you can say, or building design criteria, the maximum WWR recommended for north facing facade in India is how much? Whether it is 20% or it is 40% or 60% or the last 80%. So it is talking about north facing facade. So see the question carefully. It's not asking about the east west facade or the south facade, it is just asking about the north facade. So based on the solar radiation that is occurring in the India, so for this kind of climatic area or climatic region, what is the recommended north facing facade window to wall ratio? So as I can see, how many of you are able to answer? Yeah. So 7C have been marked by most of you, and most of you are saying that the recommended north facing facade window to wall ratio as per ECBC for India is 60%, and all of you have answered it correctly. Since the question was for north facade, so it is 60%, but if it would have been asked for south facing, then it would have been 40%, and for east and west, the suggested window to wall ratio percentage is 20%. So for this particular question, the option C was the correct answer, 60%. So let's move to the eighth question then. Here is the eighth question in front of you all. According to ECBC building design criteria, the minimum WFR in warm and humid climate should be. So it is now asking about the WFR ratio. And again, read the question carefully. It is asking about the minimum WFR that can be employed in warm and humid climate so that the building can be ACBC compliant building. So whoever knows the answer, they can give their answers, and whoever don't know the answer, for them I will be discussing it. These minimum WFR for different climate regions have been discussed, and this is very important when you are constructing or going for an ACBC compliant building or an energy efficient building. So based on the climatic condition of the regions, this WFR ratio have been derived. So for this particular warm and humid climate, you try to answer what should be the correct answer. Okay, as I can see, D, 8th D have been opted by most of you. That is, most of you are saying that it's 16.66%. So this option D, 16.66% is the correct answer for this particular question. And since it has been asked about the warm and humid climate, that's why the minimum WFR was 16.66%, but it would have been also asked for other climatic zones like composite climate, hot and dry climate, and temperate climate or the cold climate as well. So for other climate conditions also, this WFR ratio can be determined. So if it would have been composite climate, then the answer would have been 12.5%, option C. and if it would have been hot and dry, then it would have been 10%, and for temperate it's again 12.5%, and for cold it is 8.33%. So all the options are given for you for committing mistake, but for warm and humid it's 16.66% that you have chosen the correct answer. So with these all the sample problem questions for lecture 1 of week 7 have completed, and now we will be discussing some of the sample problem questions that can be formed based on the lecture 2 week 7 content. So here's the first question for you all then. Let's see who can answer. This deciduous tree is especially effective in passive design because. This is very interesting question, and I hope all of you will be able to answer to this particular question. Question number 1. Meanwhile, all of you answer to this question. Let me draw something for you. So all of you can see this deciduous tree. So let me first see how many of you have answered, and I will be discussing this question with you all. Yeah, as I can see now, several people has answered B. So whoever have answered B, they are absolutely correct. B is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 1. And whoever knows the feature or the behavior of this deciduous tree, they can easily answer to this question. Like they provide shade in the summer. So whenever the summer hot and windy or the intensive sunlight will be trying to come to the house, then these particular deciduous trees around the house, they will be helping you to provide shade to your indoor spaces. But in the other case, the other benefit is that during the winter, these trees they shed off their leaves. So let me discuss the condition of winter. So during the winter, what will be happening? Like yeah. So this tree, then it will be shedding off their leaves. Earlier they were full of leaves in the summer, but in the winter they shed off their leaves, and in the winter it allows most of the sunlight to enter and keep your house warm. So option B is the correct answer for this particular question number 1. So whoever have marked option B, they are absolutely correct. With this, let's move to the second question of lecture 2. Here is the second question. In temperate climates, landscaping strategies include for avoiding evergreen shrubs, or using only paved surfaces, or blocking east and west sun with high canopy deciduous trees, or removing all windbreaks. So out of the 4 options, read the 4 options carefully and mark your correct answer for this particular question. question number 2. So as I can see, for this option, all of you are opting for option C. Yeah. So whoever have opted for option C, they are absolutely correct. Option C is the correct answer for this question number 2. That is, in the temperate climates, this landscaping strategies will be blocking the east and west sun with high canopy deciduous trees. Since you know that these temperate strategies involve maximizing winter sun and summer shading is required, so using evergreen and the windbreaks to block cold winds are required. That's why removing the windbreaks or the other options like avoiding evergreen shrubs, these are incorrect. These are the requirement. They cannot be removed or avoided in these temperate climate conditions. So option C is the correct answer only out of the four options. So is it clear to all of you? Okay. So let's move to the next question then. For you all, I will be presenting the next question. Question number 3. So in hot and dry climate, the cooling can be enhanced by. So if you are living in an hot and dry climate conditions, let's say Jaisalmer, so in that kind of hot and dry climate, how can you enhance the cooling performance of your building? Either by removing all the vegetations or nearby trees, or using the high canopy deciduous trees on east and west, or paving large areas around the buildings, or blocking airflow with dense shrubs. Which do you, out of the four options, what is the most appropriate answer? How can you achieve cooling? I hope the question is clear to all of you. Yeah. So third B, most of you have opted for option B. So option B is the correct answer. All of you are correct. That whoever have not answered to this question, for them I am discussing it here. Like using this high canopy deciduous tree on the east and west wall, this will be helping you to reduce the heat gain while allowing the airflow, which is required for your hot and dry climate conditions. And these high canopy trees will be providing you the shading also from the low angled sun in the east and west. Overall, it will be reducing your house solar or excessive solar heat gain. So option B is the correct answer for this question. So let's move to the next question then, question number 4, and let's see how many of you can answer. Here is question number 4. The main passive benefit, it is talking about the passive benefit of water bodies in hot and dry climate. So now I will be drawing one figure. With the help of that, all of you can easily answer to this question. Meanwhile, all of you who knows the answer, they can give their answers in chat box. So all of you must have seen whenever the trees will be here, let's say, or anywhere, let's say here, so the air will be coming, and this is the situation of hot and dry climate zone. So what benefit you can get from these water bodies here? This is our water bodies, let's say. So these air will be coming like this. So whenever the air will be coming, it will be evaporating the water or the water bodies, and it will be somehow we can say wet air that will be now following. So what will be the benefit of such kind of situation? I hope the things are clear, and most of you will be able to now answer it. Yeah, so B have been marked by most of you, and all of you are correct. That is the evaporative or the evaporation in the hot and dry climate zone. These water bodies will be evaporating, and this evaporative cooling will be coming into picture by reducing the indoor air temperature. So this will be kind of indirect evaporative cooling, but it will be helping you to reduce the indoor air temperature and provide comfort to the occupants. So let's move to the next question then. Question number 5. Here is question number 5. Try to answer to this question number 5 also. Which climate benefits less from water bodies due to already high humidity? Yeah. So if you are already residing, like in previous question, you can see here it was hot and dry climate zone. So in hot and dry climate zone, these water bodies were benefiting or creating one passive benefit for the occupants. But it is asking the second question based on the previous discussion or diagram that I have shown. You can answer to this question like which climate benefit less from water bodies due to already high humidity. So this hot and dry gets benefited. It's not less benefited. Cold, temperate can also, but you have to choose the most appropriate answer. So the most appropriate answer, who can mark? Let's see. Yeah, as I can see, out of other participants, only these two are active and they are marking for option D, 5D. Okay. So from the previous discussion also, it is very clear that whenever the air will be coming or whenever this evaporative cooling kind of things will be happening, then the humid or the wet air will be getting delivered inside the room. So the places where the already high humidity or the hot and humid climate is there, so there the humidity this evaporative cooling does not gets much benefited. That's why option it's already humid there, so more evaporation or the humidity can cause discomfort for the people. That's why option D is the correct answer for this particular question number 5, and all of you have answered it correctly. So here's the sixth question then. We have completed the fifth question, and if anybody is having any sort of doubt with any of the question that we have discussed so far, then they can unmute themselves and ask. Otherwise, let's move to the next question, question number 6. Traditional Indian architecture often used water features in courtyards because. So all these things either you can understand or you can recall with the help of various kinds of diagrams that have been shown to you during the lectures. So if this is having a kind of Haveli or the Indian traditional architecture, let's say this is the entrance and this is three floor, this is the ground floor I'm drawing. So you might have seen people, this is the courtyard structure and many traditional houses are having this water features in the courtyard. So how it will be helping the people or the building comfort. So try to give your answers then one by one, whoever knows the answer. As I can see for this particular question, question number 6, I'm getting multiple answers and multiple options also, but only one option is correct out of the four options. That's why any one of you are incorrect. So let's get the answer from others. Otherwise, we will be discussing it here for better clarification. Question number 6. So if their water bodies will be here, let me discuss. If the water bodies will be here and air will be coming from or the sunlight can be coming from here directly since this is a courtyard or the open space kind of thing. So this will be causing evaporative cooling due to the direct solar radiation coming or the with the wind also it will be causing evaporation. So if some evaporation is happening here, so this will the first option what it is showing they increase the indoor heating. So this indoor heating cannot be increased. So option 1 is absolutely incorrect because it will be creating some cool environment nearby. So they will not be increasing the indoor heating. So they provided adiabatic cooling and comfort. So they will be overall causing an evaporative cooling effect that we have just discussed. And this will be helping you for the comfort. That's why this water. So why these water features are often used? These are often used for providing the cooling and the providing the comfort, you can say, in the courtyard. It's not that for increasing the indoor heating it is done, or for decoration, or reduce ventilation. Better this courtyard spaces or the design, they sometimes help us in enhancing the ventilation, not reducing the ventilation. So only one answer is correct, that is option B. So whoever have marked option B, they have marked it correctly, and whoever have not marked option B and opted for some other answer, now I hope it is clear to them. Okay, so let's move to the seventh question then. Here is the seventh question. According to the ECDC guidelines and landscape integrated design, vegetation and water bodies help by. Yeah. So whenever you will be integrating design, vegetation and water bodies all together in landscape, so they will be getting the benefits of what, or they will be helping us in which way? So whoever knows the answer, let's see who can answer it correctly. Yeah. So 7C have been marked by most of you, and 7C is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 7, because whenever you will be taking the advantage of all building design and vegetation and water bodies, then it will be helping you to reduce the greenhouse emissions and provide basic comfort to the residents. That's why option C is the correct answer, and all the other options like increasing embodied energy or operational energy, this will be incorrect. So with these, the sample problem questions based on the lecture 2 of week 7 have been discussed, and now we will be discussing some of the sample problem questions that can be formed from the lecture 3 of week 7, and then we will be try to see how much we can understand the concept and answer to these questions. So here is the first question based on the lecture 3 of week 7. So the way you have answered to the previous questions and we have discussed it, try to give answer to this question also, question number 1. Indirect evaporative cooling can reduce. This indirect evaporative cooling is referring to this kind of situation that I have just drawn and discussed with you all. This is kind of the indirect evaporative. This is also evaporative cooling, but it's happening indirect way. So in this kind of situations, if you are entering your air from the water bodies, then you can reduce the temperature by approximately how much centigrade. So there was one ballpark number that was discussed with all of you in the class of lecture 3. So try to recall to that and answer the questions correctly, all of you. How many of you can answer it? Let us see. So here, as I can see, Ram was the first to answer, and he has answered option B. and others they also have answered it correctly for this particular question number 1, and 2.5 degrees Celsius is the correct answer for this particular question number 1. That is, these indirect evaporative coolings they can reduce the indoor temperatures, and several research they have indicated that this indirect evaporative cooling can reduce up to 2.45 degrees Celsius, but it also again depends upon the outdoor conditions where the system was tested. So with this, let's move to the second question. Is the second question from lecture 3 series, and it is asking that the evaporative cooling is most effective in which climate type, whether it is in, so it is asking about the effectiveness. It's whether it will be most effective. Yeah, that's very good question, and I hope based on the discussions that we have made so far through several diagram and the content of lecture 3, I hope you will be able to answer to this question number 2. B. So most of you have opted option B. So let me correct you all that option B is not the correct answer for this question number 2. The correct answer for this question number 2 is C. In hot and dry climate conditions, the dry air will be absorbing the moisture efficiently and enabling the evaporative cooling, and in hot and humid conditions, that already the high moisture will be there, so it won't be much effective. And similarly in cold also, so the climate or the region will always will be cooler, so we don't want to create the evaporative cooling effect there, so it's not much effective there also as compared to the hot and dry climate zone. So option C is the correct answer for this particular question. I hope this is now clear to all of you. Okay, so let's move to the third question then. Here is the third question. Evaporative cooling can be made more efficient when combined with, yeah, so this is also very important question from exam point of view, and this was also discussed in the lecture 3, and there one house was shown to you. So read the question carefully all of you, and whoever knows the answer they can answer in the chat box. Meanwhile, let me draw some diagram for others to understand the question carefully. This is the draft for now. I'm saying this is something water bodies, you can say. This is the front view of your house. These are the windows. These are the doors, let's say. So whenever the air will be coming, so it will be entering, cooling, then after becoming hotter, the cool air will be coming, then the hotter air will be rising, and it will be going like this. So this in this way, the evaporative cooling can be made more efficient. But what is this? This feature has helped us to improve the efficiency of evaporative coolers. So if you know and if you understood the discussion, whatever I have made, then easily you will be able to answer to this question number 3. Let's see how many of you have answered. Yeah, so most of you have opted for option B, solar chimney, and all of you are correct that this is our solar chimney. So whenever you will be incorporating or combining your evaporative cooling with the solar chimneys, then they will be helping you to increase the efficiency of your solar evaporative cooling. Okay, then let's move to the next question. Question number 4. This plant carbon sequestration refers to. This is very important terminology. You will come across several times if you are working in this building area or the carbon capture area. So this carbon sequestration, you should understand what does it refers to and give your answers. So as I can see, okay, so Celine is the first, but she is going for option B, and Ram is going for option C. So for this particular question, that's why I am discussing it here, so that whoever is having some sort of misconception, they can revise their concept and get benefited from this problem solving session. So whoever have marked option C, they are absolutely correct. That is, this plant sequester or plant carbon sequestration refers to the plant absorbing carbon dioxide, storing it in biomass and soil. Because plant, as we all know that plants absorb CO2 during the photosynthesis, then they store it in their shoots, roots or soils and release some carbon during the decomposition. So it's not only the process where the plant absorbs oxygen, and this is also incorrect. They liberate or give the oxygen, you can say. They absorb CO2. That's why option 1 was discarded. And other options like plant releasing carbon in the atmosphere, this is also not the correct in the complete, you can say, answer for this particular question. So option C was the most appropriate answer for this question number 4. So is it clear now? Can we move to the next question? Okay, then let's move to the next question. Here's the next question, question number 5. Which of the following is a functional plant trait? So different kinds of plant trait was discussed. Either it can be functional or the competitive plant trait. So let's see how many of you can recall and answer these questions correctly. How many of you have understood different plant traits? So if I am talking about the functional plant trait, so what is the function or what is the behavior, you can say, how you can identify functional plant trait? 5A, most of you are saying more 5A. Let's see what is 5A. Growth form and leaf area. Okay, so these functional traits or functional plant traits are measurable from the features like leaf area or rooting depth which is not mentioned. Nitrogen uptake is also not mentioned, but leaf area is mentioned, which influence the plant performance. And survival and seed productions are performance traits. That's why the survival and the seed production, that is B and C, these are not the functional plant traits, these are the performance traits. That's why only option A was correct, and all of you have opted correctly. So then let's move to the sixth question. Here is the sixth question. Now it is asking about the which category of plant is adapted to highly fertile environments with low stresses. Yeah, this is very good question. I want all of you to answer to this question. Question number 6. Read the question carefully and then give your answers. Let us see 5A and 6C. So most of you are saying it's the C, competitor plants, and other plants like stress tolerator plant, ruderal plants, or pioneer plants, they are not the correct answers. Since all of you know these competitor plants, they thrive in fertile and low stress conditions, which was mentioned in the question. So these were the key behavior of these kinds of plant, and they are having large leaves or fast growth rate and high nutrient uptake. So the behavior of competitor plant, which I have discussed just now, it completely matches with the behavior that have been discussed in the question. That's why out of the four options, C was the most appropriate answer, and many of you have opted for the correct answer as well. So it's competitor plants for this question number 6. Let's move to the seventh question then. Then first question was asking about the functional plant that we talked about, the leaf area and all. Then it is second is asking about the competitor plant where the high fertility environment and low stress we have seen. Then let's discuss about the stress tolerant plants. How do they typically behave? 7B, as I can see, many of you have answered. So B is the correct answer. These stress tolerated plants, they adapt to the harsh conditions like drought or the sandy soils with small leaves and slower growth and longevity. That's why option B was the correct answer, and all of you have answered it correctly. So let's move to the next question then rapidly. Here is question number 8 for you all. These ruderal plants, they are best known for or best described as. Yeah, so all the other plant type you can see whichever have been mentioned in the question that we have already discussed, like slow growing or high fertility competitor plants. So you can now differentiate some of the options you can discard. Then you can answer out of the four options which is the most appropriate answer for this question number 8. So all of you, let's see. So C have been marked the most of you, and these ruderal plants, most of you are saying that they are best described as emergent plants that emergent after disturbance or fast growing with abundant seeds. So these ruderal or the pioneer plants, sometimes we also call them, they rapidly colonize and in the disturbed areas, and they reproduce quickly and ensure survival in unstable environments. That's why the option C is the correct answer for this question, and the other options, they are the features of other plant traits or plant types. They can be easily discarded out. So whoever have marked option C, they are absolutely correct for this question number 8 for the ruderal plants, and other options are not correct. So with these, all the sample problem questions that can be found from the lecture 3 have been discussed, and now we will be moving to the last series of lecture, that is lecture 4 of week 7, and then we will be trying to see how different problems can be formed and how far we have understood the concept and able to answer to these questions. So here is the first question from lecture 4 of week 7. At what time or at which stage must embodied emission be considered to effectively reduce carbon in buildings? So read all the four options carefully, whether it is during the demolition stage you are trying to reduce embodied carbon, or during the construction stage, or during the early planning and design stage, or after the building completion. So which is the effective way? What do you think is the correct answer? Accordingly, answer in the chat box. So let's see how many of you have answered it correctly, and how many of you knows the answer. So as I can see, Ram is the first to answer, and then Celine. So Ram has answered to this question first, and both of them are answering to be the option C. Yeah. So option C, whoever have marked, they have marked it correctly. That is early stage planning and design stage. If you are able to plan and design initially or the earlier, before construction or before transportation or extraction, whatever, so demolition, these are all the stages They are the later stages, and mainly you can effectively reduce the carbon emissions of the building during the early planning and the design stage. That's why out of the four options, C was the correct answer, and it's good to see that most of you have opted the correct answer. So let's move to the second question then. Here is the second question for you all guys. So the second question is asking, what is the first strategy for reducing embodied carbon in buildings? So out of the four options, whether it is again, before moving to the options, read the question carefully. It is asking what the first strategy for reducing embodied carbon. So first of all, what you will be doing? Either you will be building smart, or you will be building less, or determine the necessity, or whether you will be using the recycled steel, or you will be focusing on improving the construction technology. So out of the four options, which option you think to be the most appropriate answer for this particular question, question number two? Let's see how many of you can answer and how many of you can know the answer. 1B, as I can see, 1B have been marked by most of you till now. Two options, most of you are going for option number two or B option, build less and determine necessity, and all of you are absolutely correct. So the first stage should be build less or determine the necessity, whether there is necessity of building or not. The next stage is whether you are using the recycled material, or you are improving the construction technology, or you are doing smart buildings and all. These are the upper level stages or the next stages. The first stage, the basic stage, that is talking about first to find out the necessity, or the try to build as much as less you can. This is the correct answer for this question number second, and all of you have answered it correctly. Good. So let's move to the third question then. Here is the third question in front of you all. It is just asking with to you all that intervening at early planning stage can reduce the embodied emission by up to. So in the previous question only you told us that the early planning stage is very critical for reducing the embodied emissions. So the next question again comes then, what is the approximate percentage of carbon emission, embodied carbon emissions that you can reduce with your good early planning and identifying the necessity of construction? I hope all of you got the question, and you will be able to answer also. So these are some ballpark numbers that you should know if you are working in these areas and you are going through the lecture series in detail. So you should be able to recall, because these things were taught in this week only. And if some sort of questions can be asked to you in the final exams also, so it's not like you will be not able to answer, because we are practicing it again and again so that we should not commit any mistake. For the question number three, as I can see, third D have been marked by many of you, and whoever have marked D, they are absolutely correct. That is the approximate percent of reduction of embodied emissions that can be achieved through early planning stage was approximately 50%. So let's move to the fourth question then. Here's the fourth question in front of you all. Which strategy involves reusing existing structures, scaling down building size, and being economical with room sizes? So out of the four options, you read all the four options carefully and read the procedures or the strategy that have been told in the question. Then you can relate one by one and see and find out the most suitable option. It is talking about reusing the existing structure, or scaling down the building size, or economical with the room size. So if you are doing these kind of things, then you are falling under which strategy? Either build smart, build right, avoid or build less, or improve materials? What do you think is the correct answer for this question number 4? So as I can see, 4C have been marked by most of you, and 4C is the correct answer. It's good to see that most of you have answered it correctly. Like building smart is not talking about the building smart. We are just in the question itself, it is saying that we are thinking of reusing, not building smart. Again, it is talk, second question or second option also, it is talking about building right. So it's not about building right, it's talking about reusing existing structures or scaling down, not scaling up the building size. So option C was the most appropriate answers, and all of you have understood the questions and the discussion that have been made in the lecture very well, and you were able to answer it correctly. So let's move to the fifth question then. Here is the fifth question in front of you all. The concept of build right. Yeah, here is the concept of build right. Let's see how many of you have understood the concept of build right. Whether it is the concept of increasing concrete strength, build right means, or using high carbon material efficiently, or choosing the correct design solutions and efficient use of materials, or importing premium quality materials. What do you think is the correct answer for this particular question? Question number 5. Let's see. Watch. So you people are voting for option C. So option C is the correct answer for this question. And build rights means that choosing the correct or the right design solution and efficient use of materials. So whoever have marked C, they are good and they have understood the concept. And I don't think more discussion is required for this particular question from the terminology or the options. It is very straightforward questions. So without wasting much of the time, let's move to the sixth question then. This is a sixth sample problem question. Recycled materials are promoted because. So why most of the industries or the agencies or the construction side they are promoting the recycled materials? What do you think is the key advantage of that using recycled material? Out of the four options, only one option is correct. So choose the correct answer if you knows the answer. Otherwise, I will be discussing it with you all. Anyone who knows the answer can mark their answers in the chat box. Yeah, I can see many of you have marked, and but all of you have marked option B. That says that recycled materials are promoted worldwide or by different agencies because they reduce the burden on the natural raw material extraction. Absolutely correct. It's not like for the aesthetic value or for they cannot be reused or they are cheaper than new materials. It's not the key advantage or reason behind the promotion. It's because they reduce the burden on the natural raw material extraction and transportation, and all these things will be very, very difficult. So option B is the correct answer. If this such kind of questions will be coming, then you can easily handle and answer. So let's move to the seventh question then. Here's the seventh question for you all. Which of the following material has high embodied carbon but excellent recycling potential? So it is talking about both. Material is having high embodied carbon, but also it is excellent recycling potential have. it is having. So straw, you know very well, it is not having much high embodied carbon potential. So easily you can discard the option. Bamboo also no. Timber also no. So if you will look, then the most appropriate answer for this particular question will be only one option. And which option? Yeah, absolutely correct. So option C is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 7. Aluminium is the material out of the four options which is having high embodied carbon and the excellent recycling potential as well. Okay, so let's move to the next question then, question number 8. So here is question number 8 in front of you all. Try to give answer to this question number 8 as well, like you have given for the other questions. Which of the following is not a low carbon material strategy that have been mentioned? I hope the question is clear. Using recycled is definitely going to reduce, or it is a low carbon and material strategy. Locally available material, that's also because it will be reducing the transportation cost. So only two options are left. So let's see how many of you can answer. And out of the two options, how many of you can choose the correct answer? So most of you are voting for D. So choosing decarbonized construction technology. This also will be definitely reducing the low carbon material strategy. Or so all of them are low carbon material strategy. So none of them or none of the above option is a low carbon, not a low carbon material strategy. That's why none of the above option is correct. Fine. Let's move to the ninth question then. Here's the ninth question for you all, and this is the last question from the lecture 4 series. So I want all of you to answer to this particular question. LCA, life cycle analysis, life cycle assessment sometimes they also call as. So in the context of building materials we're talking about, what does it refers to? Life cycle analysis. Whether it is calculating the cost, financial cost, or deciding room sizes, or compare renewable versus non-renewable sources, or quantifying the embodied emissions over the material's lifespan. What is the most suitable answer? 9B. Most of you have opted 9B, and all of you are correct. 9B is the correct answer. For I am discussing for them who have not answered in the chat box. So whenever you will be performing life cycle analysis, this is mainly done to quantify the embodied emissions over the material's lifespan. It's talking about the carbon emissions, how much carbon you have emitted during the construction or during the extraction or transportation or construction or the demolition. So or the operation, all this comes under life cycle. But it is only talking about the carbon emissions mainly. But it's not talking about the cost or room sizes and sources of energy which have been mentioned in the other option. That's why option B is the only correct answer you can choose from these options. Okay. So with these, all the sample problem questions that can be formed from the week 7 that we have discussed lecture wise, Now I will be discussing some of the important acronyms questions that can also be asked in the final exam, and these were based on the lecture 7 that we have frequently used during the lecture. So let's see how many of you have understood and know the full form of these acronyms. Here is the first question in front of you all. Question number 1. In daylight design, you might have heard about WWR. So what does this WWR stands for? This WWR is very, very important whenever you are designing for daylighting or building. So I hope all of these things have been discussed several times in the previous problem solving sessions, also in the lectures. So I hope all of you will be able to answer to this question. Question number 1, and this will be clear to you all. Just I'm recalling it and revising it for them who are not able to understand till now. And if you are able to understand, then let's move to the next question. As I can see, 1A have been marked by most of you, and 1A is the correct answer. WWR in daylight design refers to or stands for window to wall ratio. It's not the other options that have been mentioned like window to width or wall to window or width to wall. This is all not. The correct answer is window to wall ratio. So here's the second question for you all then. This WFR in ventilation design, when you are doing the ventilation design, then this WFR mainly utilized. So this WFR refers to whether it is wall to floor ratio or window to floor ratio or window to frame ratio or wall to frame ratio. What is the most appropriate answer? Not appropriate, I should say. It is the correct answer. What is the correct answer? You opt for that only. These all are very, very straightforward questions, so I'm not wasting much of the time on these questions. If you know the answer, then yeah, 2B. You can easily hit the option, and if you don't know the options, then you can revise and practice it again and again with us and during the lectures. That this WFR refers to the window to floor ratio, option B. Let's move to the third question, ECBC. Several times in my simple problem questions and the lectures, ECBC have been referred. So what is this ECBC guideline or this ECBC refers to in passive design, or what does this ECBC stands for? Whatever you can understand, you try to give the full form of ECBC. Whether it is energy conservation and building code or environment carbon building chart or energy carbon balance code or embodied carbon building criteria. Question number 3. All of you give your answers for this question number 3. Okay, 3A. So most of you are marking energy conservation and building code. This is the correct answer. ECBC refers to energy conservation and building code. So these are the acronyms. So I'm not discussing it in detail. Just trying to make you recall or practice this short form so that in the lecture when it will be used several times, then you will be able to relate it directly. So what does this acronym LCA in material analysis stands for? This LCA analysis question we just have completed. So there are also it was mentioned. So if somebody has noticed, then you can easily answer to this question. This LCA refers to low carbon assessment, life cycle carbon approach, or long term carbon audit or life cycle analysis. Here is the question. So this LCA. I hope the question is clear. 4B, as I can see 3A, but 4B, 4B you have answered. Life cycle analysis. Yeah, it's very clear. In this question also, in the previous question, in question 9 of lecture 4 that we have just discussed, there also we have mentioned this LCA refers to life cycle analysis. From that discussion only, if you were attentive, then you can easily answer to this question that option 4D is the correct answer. Here is the question number 5. Try to answer to this question then. In water-based passive cooling strategies, AHU is linked with. So AHU refers to, you can basically understand in passive cooling strategy, AHU refers to ambient heating unit, air handling unit, active humidity utilizer, automated heat utility. What is the most appropriate answer? This is a very straightforward question. So I will not be waiting for all of you to take much time because we will have to end our problem solving session also and complete as much as questions we can complete. So 5B have been opted by most of you as I can see, and 5B is the correct answer for this question. It's air handling unit. AHU refers to air handling unit. So here is the last question from this acronym series. So this IPCC, a body frequently cited in climate-related building design. This IPCC refers to, this is very important question. That's why I have kept in some of the previous problem solving sessions also. But I hope this time all of you will be able to recall and answer correctly. Last time some of you were answering it incorrectly. So what does this IPCC refers to? All of you revise, practice, and answer to this question. Question number 6. So as I can see, 6B, yeah, 6B is the correct answer for this particular question. All of you have answered it correctly. This is inter 6B, Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. B option is the correct answer. So with this, we have now completed all the Sempra problem questions for this week 7 content. Now we will be solving the last 10 questions of today's problem solving session, where I will be discussing the previous year assignment questions that were asked in the previous year assignments, like they are asked to you in this year. So these are very important questions. So I will be discussing it one by one, and we will be seeing how much or how many of you can answer to these questions correctly. So here is the first question. Designing to bring too much of daylight can use or can cause, sorry. So if you're designing your building in such a way that you are trying to bring too much of daylight inside your room, then it can cause, there can be demerit of that also. So what it cause? Overheating, glare, visual discomfort, or all of the above? As I can see, 1D have been marked by most of you. And 1D is the correct answer for this particular question, question number 1. And whoever have done the assignment questions of this week 7, then they can easily answer to this question. And whoever have not done, for them it's a kind of hint that the similar question, I can say the similar question have been asked in some other words. And there also it was asked that due to the excessive daylighting, what effects we can see. So there also the correct answer was all of the above, like overheating, glare, and visual comfort. So whoever is present in this problem solving session, they can either correct their answers, and whoever have already done the assignment questions, then they can easily answer to these questions and proceed. So let's move to the second question then. Here is the second question. These clear stories can be protected from summer sun by. So how can you protect your clear stories from summer sun? So this is also kind of questions that have been asked in this year assignment also, and the previous year assignment questions also. So these are very very important questions. So you should be able to answer to these questions, or else you can take help from today's problem solving session and discussion, and then you can answer to your question or the assignments correctly and revise your concepts. So who knows the answer, they can answer in the chat box, and who don't know the answers, they can wait for the discussion to happen. Okay, so as I can see, 2D have been marked by most of you. So D is the correct answer for this question. That is roof lines, recessed walls, and overhangs. They together help to shade clear story windows from harsh summer sun. These all are the features that are helpful for protecting the clear stories from summer sun. That's why all of the above is the correct answer. Fine. If anybody is having any sort of question or doubt, then they can ask by unmuting themselves. And if it is fine with everyone, then we can move to the next question. So can we move to the next question? Can we move to the next question? Okay. So here's the third question then. The third question is asking about light selves. So this question also we have discussed in one of the problem of today's problem solving session discussion. In the sample problem we have discussed these light shelves are useful for either low weight storage spaces or low U value shelves or daylight optimizing strategy or all of the above. So I want all of you to answer to this particular questions in the chat box, and let's see how many of you can answer it correctly at least. Question number 3. 3C have been marked by most of you. Yeah. So 3C is the correct answer for this question. Whoever have marked 3C, they are absolutely correct. So these light selves you can see from the images also, you can see these light selves. They are helping you. They, since they are the extended surfaces in your windows or glazing, and based on the position of your light selves, you can control upon the light and optimize the light that is entering, daylight that is entering inside your house. So that's why option C was the correct answer, and whoever have marked option C, they are absolutely correct. Let's move to the fourth question. Here is the fourth question. Use of water bodies to enhance cooling is a good strategy for which kind of climate conditions? Using water bodies. So this question discussion I have already made in one of the sample problems. So I hope all of you will be able to answer it correctly here. Whether it is for hot and humid or hot and dry or both hot and humid or both neither for hot and humid and nor for hot and dry. What is the correct answer for question number 4? 4A, as I can see, 4A have been marked by most of you. So 4A hot and dry is the correct answer for this particular question. In the previous question also I have discussed, like in hot and humid climate conditions, the RH levels are already very high. So use of water bodies and evaporative cooling features, they become less important in such climatic zone. That's why these strategies are good only for hot and dry kind of climatic conditions. That's why option B is the correct answer for this question number 4. So let's move to the fifth question. Here is the fifth question for you all. Use of water bodies to enhance cooling is. Acha, this is done. Fifth question is asking about capture of low winter sun is good passive strategy in. So where you will be willing to capture low winter sun. So it's very basic question. So if you are residing in hot and humid climatic conditions, so it's already hot. So you will not be focusing on capturing winter sun, or in hot and dry climate conditions also, you will not be willing to capture low winter sun. So the most appropriate answer for this particular question will be option number C, that is cold climate conditions. It will be 5C. Got it? For the cold climate conditions, capturing of low winter sun is very important, especially for passive heating. So it is clear to all of you. If it is clear to all of you, then mark S in the chat box and let's see how many of you are okay, and we can move to the next question. Okay, so many of you are saying yes. So let's move to the sixth question then. Here is the sixth question for you all, which is asking you that absorption and storage of carbon by plants is known as. Yeah. So try to give answer to this question. Question number 6. Absorption and storage of carbon by plants is known as. So this discussion I have already made, and I hope all of you will be able to answer to this question correctly. This particular process 6A, as I can see. So 6A have been marked by most of you. 6A is the correct answer. Carbon sequestration. Because the whole process of carbon sequestration was discussed with you all in the sample problem questions today. Like it absorbs the CO2, then store it in the biomass and in the soil, and the whole process is called as carbon sequestration. Fine. So with this, let's move to the seventh question. Here is seventh question. Ways of reducing embodied carbon include. What is the correct answer for this particular question? Question number 7. Whether it is using alternative materials. So this is a kind of hint that I am providing to you all, that the same kind of question have been asked in the last question of your this week assignment. So based on that, you can answer to this question. Whether it is using alternative materials or using marble flooring or using RCC floor roofing or using diesel trucks for transport. What is the correct answer for this question number 7? Anyone who can answer to this question? 7A. So Celine is very very active and she is answering it correctly again and again, and she is the first to give answers. It's good to see. So using alternative materials, it is the correct answers. So whoever have not answered, they can understand other options are not correct, because embodied carbon is reduced by choosing alternate low carbon materials like bamboo, fly ash, bricks, recycled steels. It's not because of using marble flooring or RCC floor roofing and all. Fine. So can we move to the next question? Question number 8. If it is okay with everyone, can we move to the next question? Okay. So here is the eighth question for you all then. Recycled materials have the advantage of. Yeah, this also I have discussed. Recycled material have the advantage of being easily available in new forms, being the strongest possible solution, has better load carrying capacity, reduced burden on environment. What is the key advantage? Ram is saying D. He is saying D. Supriya is not knowing the answer. Let me see the options. Yeah, option D is the correct answer for this question number 8 that was asked in the previous year assignment questions. That is reduced burden on the environment. This is the advantage of recycling of materials. It's not like being easily available or being strongest possible solution. This is not the main or primarily advantage. The main advantage is reducing environmental impact. How? By saving energy or cutting emissions or lowering the resource extraction from the environment. So option D was the correct answer. Let's move to the next question then. Question number 9. Here is question number 9 for you all. The strategy that can be adopted to pre-cool ventilation air is by using, yeah, how can you pre-cool the ventilation air that have to be supplied indoors through the help of ventilation tower, higher tower, space tower, or cooling tower? Which of these terms you have heard is an effective pre-cooling strategy? Question number 9. I hope the question is very straightforward and all of you will be able to answer to this question number 9. Yeah, as I can see, many of you are opting option B. So whoever have opted option B, they are absolutely correct. Out of the four options, this space tower, height, these are not an strategy, rather this cooling tower. This is the strategy that uses evaporative cooling process to pre-cool the air before it enters to the indoor spaces. That's why option B is the correct answer for this question. So with this, let's move to the last question. This is the last question of the day, and I want all of you to answer to this question correctly. And this was the last question of the week 7 assignment and today's problem solving session also, which is asking you that the best window type to control sunlight and wind ingress is the, whether it is bay window or it is slash window or it is levered window or it is sliding window. So this question one can easily answer if he has done the assignment of week 7, or even if he has not done the assignment 7 week day 7, then he can answer it from the problem solving session that we have conducted today. We have already discussed some such kind of simple problems, so with that also one can answer. Let's see who can answer to this question correctly. Question number 10. Okay, so I got several answers for this question. 10 C. Supriya is also knowing the answer. Ram and Celine, they are also knowing the answers. All of them have answered it correctly. It's good to see that all of you have understood the concept, and these levered windows, they provide adjustable controls, as I have already told to you. Like let me discuss it in short so that the session can be ended on time. So if this is your window, so these are the shutters or the slats, these are the levers people sometimes say. So these are put. So whenever you don't want the excessive sunlight or wind to enter inside your home, then with the help of a hand or with the help of thread, you can easily shut down your shutters and levers, and you can have control over the sunlight and the wind ingress. That's why levered windows is the correct answer and the best window type that is helping us to control sunlight and wind ingress. So with this, today's problem solving session comes to an end, and I hope all of you have enjoyed the today's problem solving session. It was helpful for you all. So with this, I would like to also inform you that like this week, next week also you will get the mail that regarding the thank you, you are saying that's fine, but you will get the mail regarding the next week problem solving sessions also. Like this week, next week also, same timing, Tuesday 7 to 9 p.m. we will be conducting the problem solving sessions where we will be discussing the sample problem questions and previous year assignment questions of week 8. So I hope all of you have enjoyed the session and actively participate. Thank you all for your active participation for this problem solving session and making it a successful one. So with this, I would like to end the today's problem solving session and thank you all for joining. Thank you all. So let me end the today's problem solving session then. You all can log out.